Hello everyone. This is completely different. This is Popo Medic, the Heist and Battle of North Hollywood. I don't remember if anyone remembers this, but North Hollywood in '97, there were the two bank robbers, in all like bulletproof outfit. And I saw this on another reaction, the same one, and I decided I wasn't going to watch theirs. I wanted to do it because I just remembered it. So I have my extremely amount of coconut rum mixed in with some Diet Dew. Diet, because I'm not a savage. Oh, it's so good. Okay, video.
Friday, February 28th, 1997. Two professional bank robbers overtake a North Hollywood branch in Los Angeles. Sporting a military-grade arsenal and covered nearly head to toe in body armor. And as fate would have it, an LAPD officer in the right place at the right time witnessed the moment the gunman entered the bank. The police soon had the men surrounded, expecting the men to barricade inside. But instead, the two robbers swiftly exited the bank, spraying over 1,000 rounds at police. Over 44 minutes and 2,000 rounds exchanged, the streets of North Hollywood turned into a living hell. The two gunmen behind the North Hollywood shootout first met at a Gold's Gym in Venice Beach, California. Larry Phillips Jr., a Los Angeles native and proficient real estate scammer, and Emil Matasarino, a Romanian immigrant and college graduate with an above-average IQ. They were close in age and talked everything weightlifting and bodybuilding and whatever else the fuck gym rats talk about. Chicken breasts, probably. Despite the contrast of their upbringings, the two quickly became close friends outside of the gym. They bonded over firearms, philosophical ideas, they talked about their tough childhoods, and their mutual hatred for authority, as Larry Phillips Jr. grew up around an ex-convict father who struggled with the law, and Matasarino, who grew up watching his home country of Romania violently collapse in 1989 on live TV. Their hatred for the world and the figures who ran it ran deep. In October of 1993, the two found themselves in some serious trouble when they were traffic stopped by an undercover Glendale detective while operating a stolen rental car. When the detective made contact with the vehicle, Phillips gave the officer a fake name. He then asked the men who the vehicle belonged to which Matasarino replied that the vehicle belonged to Phillips' mother. And after making checks, the detective ordered Phillips to step out of his vehicle, at which point the detective located a Glock 17 with a 33-round extended magazine in Phillips's waistband. Matasarino, still inside the vehicle, then tucked his pistol beneath the seat. Backup arrived, and both men were taken into custody. The vehicle was seized and a laundry list of weapons.
You have a 33-round extended clip? Doesn't that... I mean, if you have it, doesn't that feel awkward? Just that extended clip? I guess it depends on where you have it. Holstered up, I'll say, hey, be good. Where you have it holstered up, but still, I guess you're going to have it on your side, and you're not really going to notice. But man, that extended clip, it looked like it was at least 3 inches. 4 inches maybe? I guess you would get used to, I mean, obviously you get used to it, but man, that, I don't know.
Weapons and suspicious items were recovered from within, ranging from a Norinco, 1,700 rounds of 7.62, 3 Chinese-made 75-round drum magazines, 6 smoke bombs, 2 IEDs, a gas mask, wigs, 3 different California license plates, and 2 spray cans of gray hair coloring. That's right, these jokers were locked and loaded with some Just for Men. Now,
I mean, look, these guys were probably gonna go help old ladies cross the street with groceries And you got to be prepared.
It's a party. Larry Phillips was charged with conspiracy to commit robbery, grand theft auto, unlawful weapons activity, carrying a loaded and concealed firearm, and felony perjury.
This is what he should have been charged with: felony to do some bad shit. And that would have encompassed everything.
December 27th, both men were only sentenced to less than 1 year in jail.
Okay. Sun Tzu, of course it is.
On June 14th, 1995, in the Los Angeles neighborhood of Winnetka, at approximately 12 p.m., Phillips and Matasareanu stalked a Brinks truck. They followed the armored vehicle until it made a stop. They watched as the guard got out and made a delivery. As the guard returned and opened the back doors of the armored truck and was at his most vulnerable, Phillips and Matasareanu opened fire with AK-47s. Both guards were shot, and $120,000 was stolen. The Brinks guards luckily survived, and the robbery quickly made headlines. Given the level...
Okay, something that I don't remember was... I guess I didn't realize these guys, and I don't remember, these guys had previous experience robbing. I just figured that this was their one and only robbery. I guess I remembered that. Sorry. I apologize.
Tactics
apologize for all the pausing, and I paused it to apologize for pausing.
Deployed and weaponry used, the FBI took exceptional interest, who they deemed at the time the AK-47 bandits. And it wasn't long until they struck again. On March 27, 1996, in the area of Woodland Hills, Phillips and Matasareanu attempted to overtake another Brinks truck.
June 95 to March, 10 months, 11 months. So in 11 months, they burned through about 60,000 each. Well, I shouldn't say that.
But miserably failed. They once again stalked the armored vehicle and opened fire after it stopped, but the driver took off. They chased the vehicle briefly before fleeing the scene, and once they got away, they ditched their vehicle and set it on fire. Despite the recent failure, only 2 months later, the men graduated to bank robbery. And on the morning of May 2nd, they initiated their first ever takeover heist. They kicked open the bank doors, fired warning shots into the ceiling, swept the vault, and walked out in under 6 minutes with nearly $750,000. And high on success, after making it out clean, they hit their second score only 29 days later. On the morning of May 31st, Phillips and Matasareanu took over a Bank of America branch in Winnetka.
So I thought that these guys had only done the one crime, but they've done more. So they just become addicted to all of this. I didn't realize that. Or I didn't remember.
Walking out once again with just under $800,000, accumulating a net worth of approximately $1.6 million in 30 days. And by this point, the FBI Violent Crimes Task Force and local law enforcement were rattled. The suspects were virtually uncatchable. It was that.
And okay, everyone right now, put yourself in their shoes. You've just made $800,000 cash. You should be, if you want to go legit, and you could work a shit job, and you just stash that money away, you could still live comfortably with cash. You could work at McDonald's and just a garbage thing. But no, you're cool. You can't go buy some ridiculous expensive car. You got to get loans like everyone else. But like you're good. You don't need credit card debt. If it's a big purchase, you just pay in cash. I mean, you could technically buy a car in cash if you wanted to, but it would be smart to, go through the loan process so you're not a target as to how did you come up. You work at McDonald's, dude. How did you come up with $40,000 for this car? I could understand why people get addicted to it. Because if I could live off 800,000, what if I turn 800,000 into 1.2 million? Then I'm good. Well, what if I turn 1.2 into 1.5? Oh shit, what if 1.5 can become 2.8?
Evident that the two robbers had gone from violent outlaws to swift professionals in a short period of time, prompting the FBI to change the duo's name from the AK-47 Bandits to the High Incident Bandits.
The High Incident Bandits? That was good.
Over the next several months, a massive joint operation spanning multiple law enforcement agencies within Los Angeles County sent officers to stage outside of banks and other potential targets of the High Incident Bandits. But the robbers at the time went on hiatus, upgrading their arsenal and mostly planning their biggest score yet. Phillips and Matassarinu narrowed down their options to branch 384 of Bank of America, located in North Hollywood, California. It was the largest bank in the area by far and had the potential to net them at least $2 million for 10 minutes work. It was the optimal location for many reasons. Professional bank robbers tend to hit branches located on street corners for a better escape egress. Branch 384 was a single building lot, meaning not only was it a corner branch, but it had two corners of the lot, with both freeway access nearby and city side streets leading into the valley. It was the perfect stage for the perfect heist. They chose the date of Friday, February 28th, and they loaded up for war. They attached level 3A Kevlar body armor to the front and back of both their torso and extremities, basically making them pretty much invincible against the police who have 9mm. And speaking of bullets, holy shit! They loaded out with Norinkos with full auto conversions, 75-round Chinese magazine drums, a semi-auto HK91, two Berettas, and a fucking Bushmaster XM15 dissipator. They then loaded several thousand rounds of spare ammunition into the trunk of their white 1987 Chevrolet Celebrity. In both,
the only thing they were missing was ninja stars and a knife.
Men knew there was no going back. They dug their graves in their past robberies, and after getting busted once, they knew they would be facing life in prison, unspoken, but likely even fearful of one another, and the idea of their counterpart cooperating with authorities in exchange for a lighter sentencing. They knew from here on out, contact with law enforcement could only end one way. And on the morning of the robbery, the men each took an unknown dosage of phenobarbital, a central nervous system depressant to basically Master Chief the shit out of their nerves. They suited up, drove to the bank, synchronized their watches, and at 9:17 a.m., Larry Phillips and Emil Mastarinu clashed through the doors of Branch 384, firing rounds into the ceiling and declaring aloud, "This is a fucking holdup." While on routine patrol, as fate would have it, LAPD patrol officer Martin Perello entered the bank's intersection of Archwood and Agnes when he spotted the two heavily armed gunmen entering the bank at 9:17 a.m. And just like that, the milliseconds before the heist started, it was already over.
5840, requesting assistance. We have a possible 211 in progress at the Bank of America. Bank of America.
Inside the bank, the gunmen took over, while continuing to open fire into the ceiling. And after gaining everyone's compliance, Phillips and Matassarinu began shooting at the bulletproof door that gave access to the bank tellers and the vault. The door, which was only made to withstand small caliber ammunition, broke open after a few shots from their modified Norinkos. The men then forced the tellers to fill their bags with the money from the vault. As they held the door, watching over their shoulders, they realized there was a big problem. There was way less money in the vault than they had anticipated. The adrenaline partnered with the intense stress led the two men to unravel, and bursts of gunfire continued solely out.
How did they come up with the 2 million or 3 million? How did they get that figure? It was just a guess? Or did they have an insider?
Out of rage, Matasarinu became so enraged that he emptied a 75-round drum magazine into the vault, destroying the rest of the money. In total, the tellers only packed $303,000. Meanwhile, outside of the bank, LAPD officers Perello and Farrell enter the perimeter of a parking lot across the street and are soon joined by multiple officers rushing in to the area. An anxious Larry Phillips noticed the silence outside of the bank. There was no longer any foot traffic outside, or even a single car on the usually busy roadway.
Yeah.
He walked halfway out of the bank and heard nothing but the freeway noise coming from a half a mile away. And in that moment, he realized the police were waiting. At which point both men could hear sirens of the cavalry of the LAPD responding, as well as the sound of exploding dye packs in the money bags, rendering the bills completely useless. The officers outside were coordinating what they thought would be a barricade.
The people who packed the bags are lucky, because if I heard an explosion go off in my bag, I'm going back in that bank, and there's going to be a lot of unfortunate people bleeding out, because I'm going to go bang, 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 bang. Yeah. But I'm not a bank robber. Train robber, yes. Bank robber, no.
Situation until Larry Phillips stormed out of the North ATM lobby entrance, spraying rounds at officers with his Norinco, immediately injuring 7 officers and 3 civilians from 200 feet away. They returned fire at the robbers, but their 9mm had little effect on the heavily armed gunmen. LAPD officer James Zaborvan, only a few months out of the academy, gets a shot off on Phillips, wounding him. The gunman turns his attention to Zaborvan, who dives across his fellow officers, blocking the shot. He then seeks cover into a nearby dental office, where a dentist by the name of Jorge Montes quickly turns his dental office into a makeshift emergency room. And at this time, the elite members of the prestigious LAPD SWAT team arrived on scene. Many of the members, at the time, were even founding fathers of the LAPD's first ever SWAT team, who had a fierce reputation and a highly successful rate of solving the problems within high-risk incidents. Phillips retrieves the HK-91 and begins sniping news helicopters with 308, hitting a KCAL-9 chopper's rear stabilizer, until a group of officers who raided a nearby gun store to obtain higher caliber weapons returned and landed a shot on the HK-91, disabling it. Phillips picked back up his Norinco until his weapon stovepiped. Not knowing how to clear the malfunction, he pulled out his Beretta and continued firing at police. And suddenly, realizing it was the end, Larry Phillips took his own Beretta and ended his life. Matasarinu tried to escape by hijacking a civilian's truck, but failed. The SWAT team saw this and took advantage of Matasarinu's exposed position and moved in to engage him while taking cover behind a patrol vehicle. The SWAT team opened fire, but they couldn't find an angle on Matasarinu, taking cover behind the engine block of his vehicle. LAPD SWAT
Caleb Williams, quarterback, USC.
LAPD SWAT officer Rick Massa decided to prone out and found the exposed feet of Matasarinu, got a good sight picture, and opened fire, hitting Matasarinu twice in the ankle. Matasarinu collapsed and began skipping rounds towards the SWAT team from beneath the vehicle while laying on his back. And with Matasarinu's body now exposed and still skipping rounds towards SWAT officers, the SWAT team opened fire. And after being shot 29 times, Matasarinu surrenders to police. As they secure Matasarinu's weapon and place him in handcuffs to search for additional weapons, Officer Rick Massa stands over him. Matasarinu looks up at Massa and asks him to finish him off, to which Officer Massa declines and says, "I'll see you in court." Matasarinu succumbed to his wounds and died 56 minutes later. As the deadly shootout came to an end, the SWAT team entered the Bank of America to rescue the employees and customers from the vault. After the incident occurred, the LAPD realized the importance of firepower after realizing their 9mm fucking sucked. And they received 600 M16s from the Pentagon, officially birthing the requirement of patrol rifles.
Oh my goodness.
1 year after the incident occurred, 19 LAPD officers received Medals of Valor and were even commended by then-President Bill Clinton. Despite the injuries, the shootout is regarded as a success for police, who were severely outgunned and managed to prevent any civilian or officer fatalities. The pop culture and lore of the North Hollywood shootout runs deep. From a Megadeth song to a made-for-TV movie, countless documentaries to an op-ed in Rolling Stone magazine. It's estimated that Phillips and Matasarinu fired close to 1,200 rounds, with the LAPD returning close to 650 rounds. The North Hollywood shootout will always be regarded as one of the most dangerous confrontations between robbers and police that America has ever seen. Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that.
I don't know if that's true. I used to rob helicopters. You just yawned right in my face. Appreciate that. I used to rob helicopters all the time. They'd come down, they'd land, and we'd be like, "Give us all your money." And they were like, "Oh, we're paramedics." I was like, "I don't care. Give me your wallet." So that was stressful because we would be out in the middle of nowhere and we're like, "Oh, 911, oh, help us. We're injured. Send the helicopter, please." And they would do it, and we'd rob them. That never happened. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends I used to rob helicopters. Make me feel good.